She's shimmying. Ooh. Well, I figured I'd make y'all a bench test video here. I've had some issues the last couple of times. I took the Impulse out for a run, and I've had this sitting in my inventory, SpeedMaster strut, and my sole intention was to put it on this boat eventually. Now, I wanted to document this and explain this to y'all to where nobody else tries to do what I tried to do. It was totally an attempt. I watched two of Ironclad's videos when it comes to replacing these lead Teflon bushings as far as like the stinger goes for this, right? Well, the proboat stinger is different. The inside diameter of it is slightly smaller, and I want to show you. So it tells us here on the package that the outside diameter of the bushings are 1/4 inch and the inside diameter is 3/16 of an inch. Well, if you measure this, it measures some funky size on the inside. I think it measures something like 15/64 or something like that. And it's basically one step down from 1/4 inch. So I took the liberty of putting it in the drill press trying to drill it out, and it just didn't work. So don't attempt to do that if you don't think, you know, it just didn't work out for me, so I doubt it'll work out for you. The bushings are slightly different. They're a whole lot thinner. They're made of brass. I had to drill them out in order to get them out. But I noticed the last couple of times when I would run the boat, I would grab the prop, and the prop had quite a bit of wiggle. And I'm fighting a wiggle in the boat, and I'm wondering if the wiggle in the boat going down, you know, is what is caused by the prop, you know, being loose inside that bushing. So basically my thought was, let's go ahead and try to replace the bushing. That idea failed miserably. I can actually get the bushing in there, but the one, when it gets down to the bottom, for some reason it sits crooked. Ever so slightly it sits crooked. The one up here at the top sits perfectly fine, but once you stick the second one in there and you put the shaft in there, it puts the shaft in a slight bind, and it's just not something that I would want. So I just said no. My sole intention was to put a SpeedMaster strut on the back of this boat, since I have a nice 40 series SpeedMaster rudder. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. Hopefully hopefully it works. Hopefully it works. That's a beautiful piece of hardware here. Beautiful, beautiful piece of hardware. The rear strut here does stick out probably 25 millimeters further than the original proboat did. I think when I mocked it up, it set something about like yay. So hopefully I'll have enough length in my cable when I go to mount this on permanently and test fit it and give it a try. But just wanted to give anybody an idea, if you want to change the bushing inside of this style strut, you can't use the lead Teflon bushing. And I don't even know if they sell a replacement bushing. I haven't even done any research on that. It wasn't my intention to do so. Maybe they just sell a whole new strut replacement. You just throw this thing away and it comes with fresh bushings. Who knows? But we're not even going to go that route unless we absolutely have to go back to it. Then I'll have to buy that strut. But I work on things in the moment, and I share the process as I go along. So if I'm wrong, I'll correct it when I get to a later portion of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking this apart. Look to see where my holes are, look to see where my shaft comes out, and see which holes I'm going to have to fill in and where I need to drill new ones. Alright, now good news. I was able to actually loosen the stuffing tube clamp. You can see where it used to be clamped right there. I've slid it forward, basically 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit better than that. And what that did, that made the stuffing tube completely flush with the hull, and it gave me a little bit of the liner sticking out. So my thought and my hopes was that the liner will fit that hole on the back of that. Yikes, and it doesn't. I'm gonna have to mic that and see what's the size of this stuffing tube liner here. Measures 7 mil, and I believe this is 6.5. Yeah, thereabouts. 6.4. So I guess what we could do is take a Dremel or a drill bit and we could drill out that small portion. That way we get that little bit of liner in that strut. Now I could just cut it off flush, but I don't want to do that. I want some portion of the liner inside of that piece to where the drive cable doesn't ever come in contact with any of that metal. Alright, check it out. I actually got it on there. If you look in there, the little liner is actually holding it in. The center of the strut SpeedMaster bracket was 6.4 mil, and I had to basically grind it out and file it out to 7 millimeters, and it fits beautifully, beautifully. Unfortunately, none of the screws really fit. None of the original screw holes match up, so that is quite unfortunate. So we are going to fill those holes in and start fresh. It is now the following day since the last clip that you just saw, and I went ahead, I got all the holes filled in on the back of the hull from where we took the stock stinger off, so all 4 of those holes are filled. I used 30-minute epoxy mixed with graphite. It actually worked really, really well. Then I went ahead and mounted the new mount for the SpeedMaster strut. Turned out excellent. You can see right there the stuffing tube liner comes out flush with that, so it'll make it really, really nice for when we put this back on to there. That's gonna look sick. This boat's gonna be all tricked out with SpeedMaster stuff. Heck yeah. Kind of excited to try their stingers. It'll be the first time ever. Now look in here. Had to re-glue the stuffing tube because that white pasty stuff that they have holding it down, it basically pushed forward when I slid the stuffing tube forward that like 3/16 of an inch. And then one thing I also did, I'm going to show you here, and then we'll finish putting it back together. I went ahead and sanded the bottom of the boat. I know it kind of looks crazy. There was this weird hump that was right here. It's been there since day one. I mean, I don't know if it was a imperfection in this boat hole or what, but there was a literal hump right here. And I always felt like with it coming off of the stinger right here, and there was a hump, it was always giving me a fit. So I just went ahead and said, screw it. I sanded the bottom of the boat with 320, and then I sanded the bottom of the boat with 800, and it is like buttery smooth right here now. Now up here where the paint still is, it's sticky. See? And if you do that here, it just glides. See that? Yeah. So hopefully sanding it will help. It makes it ugly. I hate it. But hopefully that'll help for some speed. And then I had tiny little gaps here. I went ahead and just took some glazing putty and I filled in those tiny little gaps that maybe water's getting in, maybe not. And I'm going to sand that down as well. I just got to let it harden. You won't really be able to see it. The only thing that'll be left is just what's in there in the gap. And it doesn't really have that much strength to it. So if I don't like it, I can pop it out with like a toothpick or something. But I'm going to go ahead now and finish putting the strut all the way on. Alright, so we are all finally complete with the SpeedMaster Stinger install. Actually looks really, really clean. Very satisfied with it. Still got a little bit of a gap here. Unfortunately, you can see where they had cut the shaft. I hate that it falls right there in that spot. makes me feel like I can fling a shaft. But we'll see. We'll see. I keep flat spots on the opposite sides of my flex cables, but all three that I have for this boat, it's like they need to be 1/4 of an inch longer. So they bottom out in the collet and then they stick out that far. And then I could, you know, redo it or whatever, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've got a new block coming for right here too, so I can run a different rudder. I want to run a squared rudder instead of a tapered rudder. And then I also want to run a dual line, dual cooling, instead of using the bottom pickup. But right now I have 0.3 degrees up strut. So we'll see how it goes. I got a ABC 1716 on there. I'm going to try running the 1716 and then the 1816 and see what happens. Because I don't know if when I flooded the boat and it got full of water, I started thinking about silver in the 10-shock motor, and silver can tarnish. Maybe silver tarnishes when water gets on it, and maybe, you know, restricts the flow of electricity. Who knows? But once we get some better running conditions, we'll be able to really tell if that motor getting wet is the detriment to a 10-shock motor. It just, to me, it seems plausible, but I just don't really know. There's not enough information on those motors. But cool. Well, let me know in the comments what you think about the rear setup on the Impulse 32. This boat is slowly getting wore out. I think I've had 25 videos on this. Not all have been published, and close to 40 battery, you know, 40 runs on it, and I don't know, 10 crashes. So maybe time for a new hull one of these days, but until she breaks, we're gonna keep ripping her. See y'all later.